Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. So,
Hare Krishna.
I welcome
Hare
all of you.
Krishna.
Welcome all of you, each and every one of you. And it's a very auspicious occasion of Gita Jayanti. Krishna, spoke Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years before to Arjuna for the benefit of everyone, all of us, when he's speaking to each and every one of us through Arjuna. So, the great fortune that we are able to receive this message, and it's recorded in the form of Bhagavad Gita as it is, and Srila Prabhupada has given us a beautiful commentary, and we are reading it. So it is so wonderful and so auspicious that we are doing this 2 hours of reading. So and Lord has already started speaking. Yesterday only Lord started speaking. So we are going to hear directly the words of Krishna. Let's see, till 2.20 we have done. So now 2.21 today we have to start with. So let's begin. Veda vinashinam nityam jyaena majam avyayam katham sa purusha partha kam ghatayati hantikam. Translation, somebody can read?
I'll read, Prabhuji. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill?
Purport. Everything has its proper utility. And a man who is situated in complete knowledge knows how and where to apply a thing for its proper utility. Similarly, violence also has its utility. And how to apply violence rests with the person in knowledge. Although the justice of the peace awards capital punishment to a person condemned for murder, the justice of the peace cannot be blamed because he orders violence to another person according to the courts of justice. So, yeah, sometimes judge may have to order somebody to get hanged or killed, but the judge is not responsible for it. The justice of the peace cannot be blamed because he orders violence to another person according to the courts of justice. In Manu Samhita, the law book of mankind, for mankind, it is supported that a murderer should be condemned to death, so that in his next life he will not have to suffer for the great sin he has committed. Therefore, the king's punishment of hanging a murderer is actually beneficial. Similarly, when Krishna orders fighting, it must be concluded that violence is for supreme justice, and thus Arjuna should follow the instruction, knowing well that such violence committed in the act of fighting for Krishna is not violence at all. At any rate, the man or other soul cannot be killed. So, for the administration of justice, so-called violence is permitted. A surgical operation is not meant to kill the patient, but to cure him. Therefore, the fighting to be executed by Arjuna at the instruction of Krishna is with full knowledge, so there is no possibility of sinful reaction. So it does not encourage unnecessary killing, but when the killing is mandate for the sake of establishing dharma on the order of the Lord, such kind of killing is beneficial because anyway the person is not harmed, the person is killed also, because soul cannot be killed. That's the logic he is giving, right? So, like for example, the person who kills certain enemies, those who may be from irreligious side, from the neighboring country. So when he fights on the battlefield and he kills, then that person is given award. He is given some certain kind of awards because he is following the order of the country's government, right? So because he is actually acting on the order of the government, so then he's given awards. But if he comes back to his house and he kills his neighbor, just for some kind of fight or something, then he will be put in jail. So same way our activities, if it is sanctioned or if it is ordered by the Lord, then that kind of activity is rewarding. But if the activities are done whimsically, even though it may be some so-called spiritual activity, so that is not very much glorified. Like I was saying the other day, that Srila Prabhupada did not want one devotee to go to Radha Kund and keep chanting, because he was saying that I want to go to Radha Kund and just keep chanting. And then Prabhupada said, no, it's not good, because you cannot imitate. You're not on that platform. You better serve, do book distribution and serve and chant your minimum rounds, 16 rounds. Then this devotee, he told that actually Prabhupada wants me to go, but internally he wants me to go, but externally he's not saying. And he left. He went to Radhakund. And after some time, devotees found him that he was in petrol pump. And they asked him, what are you doing in petrol pump? They said, oh, already my quota of chanting is over. I chanted a lot. So I came here to petrol pump now. So he left chanting. So that's why one should actually always be careful to be guided by authorized, guru, the bona fide guru and shastras. One should not whimsically act on his own. So this kind of violence, what Arjuna is doing, is not actually condemned, because he is doing on the order of the Lord. So that is actually going to benefit Arjuna, and even those are going to get killed also. It is said on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, all those soldiers, all those warriors who were killed by the arrows of Arjuna, they were liberated. Because Arjuna was a pure devotee, and they're getting killed by the arrows of the pure devotee in presence of Krishna. So they got liberated. That's what it's mentioned. So next, Vasam Jirnani. All of you can repeat this. It's a nice verse. No? You all can unmute and repeat after me. Because nice to recite these verses. There is Gita Jayanti also. So you can please recite. Vasam Jirnani Yatha Vihaya. Navani Granati Naroparani. Tatha Sharirani Vihaya Jirnani. Anyani Samyati Navani Dehi. Yeah, read the translation, please.
As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones.
Purport: change of body by the atomic individual soul is an accepted fact. Even the modern scientists who do not believe in the existence of the soul, but at the same time cannot explain the source of energy from heart, have to accept continuous changes of body which appear from childhood to boyhood, from boyhood to youth, and again from youth to old age. From the old age, the change is transferred to another body. This has already been explained in the previous verse 2.13. Transference of the atomic individual soul to another body is made possible by the grace of the super soul. The super soul fulfills, super soul means Paramatma. The super soul fulfills the desire of the atomic soul as one friend fulfills the desire of another. Yeah, the Vedas, like Mundaka Upanishad as well as Shweta Sutara Upanishad, compare the soul and super soul to two friendly birds. It's a beautiful example, actually. I really relish this example. It's so nice. Two birds example. Some of you might have heard this before. The soul and super soul are two birds, two friendly birds sitting on the same tree. One of the birds, the individual atomic soul, is eating the fruit of the tree, and the other bird, that is Krishna, is simply watching his friend. Of these two birds, although they are the same in quality, one is captivated by the fruits of the material tree, while the other is simply witnessing the activities of his friend, Krishna. Sorry, activities of his friend. Yeah, that's Krishna. So Krishna is the witnessing friend. His friend means that is the Jiva. His means that Lord's friend, that is living entity. Krishna is the witnessing bird and Arjuna is the eating bird. Although they are friends, one is still the master and the other is the servant. Forgetfulness of this relationship by the atomic soul is a cause of one's changing his position from one tree to another. Hmm. So this is the reason for transmigration. When the atomic soul, the living entity, forgets the relationship with the supreme soul, and it keeps changing from one body to another body. The jiva soul is struggling very hard on the tree of the material body, but as soon as he agrees to accept the other bird as the supreme spiritual master, as Arjuna agreed to do by voluntarily surrender unto Krishna for instruction, the subordinate bird immediately becomes free from all lamentations. Both the Mundaka Upanishad 3.1.2 and Svetasvara Upanishad 4.7 confirm this. So it's a nice verse. You can, okay, I'll just chant this. No problem. Samane vrikshe purusho nimagno nishaya shocha. Sorry. Samane vrikshe purusho nimagno anishaya shochati muyyamanaha. Justam yada pashyati anyamisham asya mahimanam iti vita shokaha. Yeah. Although the two birds are in the same tree, the eating bird is fully engrossed with anxiety and moroseness as the enjoyer of the fruits of the tree. But if in some way or other he turns his face to his friend who is the Lord and knows his glories, at once the suffering bird becomes free from all anxieties. Arjuna has now turned his face towards his eternal friend Krishna and is understanding the Bhagavad Gita from him. And thus, hearing from Krishna, he can understand the supreme glories of the Lord and be free from lamentation. Arjuna is advised herewith by the Lord not to lament for the bodily change of his old grandfather and his teacher. He should rather be happy to kill their bodies in the righteous fight, so that they may be cleansed at once of all reactions from various bodily activities. One who lays down his life on the sacrificial altar or in the proper battlefield is at once cleansed of bodily reactions and promoted to a higher status of life. So there was no cause for Arjuna's lamentation. So very beautiful purport talking about how the jiva soul has to surrender to the Supreme Lord. Then only he can become free from all the anxieties. Actually, all our anxieties are there because we haven't taken shelter. You see how a child becomes anxious, how he gets into anxiety and stress and all. When he loses his parents, when he loses his shelter. So whatever shelter, if it is taken away, from somebody, then he gets anxiety. Like someone's job goes away. In US now, people are losing their job sometimes. So then immediately the person gets into anxiety, right? Sometimes someone's near and dear one loses, whom he was deriving a lot of emotional shelter or financial shelter or whatever shelter. So that then that brings anxiety. Same way somebody loses his health, it brings anxiety. So you can see whenever we lose our shelter, we get anxiety. So our real shelter is actually Krishna. So when you forget Krishna, when you lose his shelter, then no matter what you get in this world, all these temporary shelters, actually you will always be filled with anxiety. You cannot avoid anxiety because you have lost your real shelter. So Bhagavatam says, Deha Patyakaratradishu Atma Sanyesha Satsvapi Tesham Pramutta Nidhanam Pashyanapi na Pashyati. Beautiful verse. It says, Deha Patyakaratradishu. Your body, and your things related to body, like your wife, your children, and etc. Atma Sanyesha Satsvapi. So they're called fallible soldiers. Fallible soldiers means they're not the real soldiers. They're all nakli soldiers. They're fallible. Asatsvapi. Atma Sanyeshu Asatsvapi. Atma Sanyeshu. Sanyeshu means sanic, soldiers. But Asatsvapi, if they are fallible, they're temporary, they are nakli. Asatsvapi. Tesham Pramutta Nidhanam and Pashyanapi na Pashyati. And you can see that how we all will be, our life will be gone. We will be gone, and we are going to actually, I mean, we are getting lost in this material existence. Tesham pramutta nidhanam. And we are intoxicated with this material chase for some gratification, and we are getting lost in this material world. Tesham pramutta nidhanam pashyanapi na pashyati. And we are not seeing that how we are actually, also going to get, I mean, we are also going to die, and we are also going to be, further just keep continuing in the cycle of birth and death. So we don't see that. Pashyanapi na pashyati. We are seeing that how people around us are dying, how people, before, I mean, my ancestors died, my people around me also are dying. But still we think that, we are safe. We don't understand. Pashyanapi na pashyati. We can't see our death. We can't see that how we are caught up in the cycle of birth and death. We can't see that how we are falling in the pool of material existence. We are not able to see that. Tesham pramutta nidhanam. And we are completely intoxicated with so-called worldly pleasures in this world. So that's why it is very important that we can only, I mean, it's very important to understand that we can only be free from anxiety when we get our real shelter. Then it is possible. There's another verse it says, no? It says, Tatsadu manya asurvarya dehinam sada samudvigna dhyam asadgriha. Hitvatu patam grihamandukupam varam gato yad harimashriyata. There also he says that, oh my dear father, Brahmara says, best among the demons. Actually, you are always feeling anxiety because you have accepted this temporary material body. So same way, we also have accepted this temporary material body. We are being caught up in this material body, and, and we are taking material shelter. There's a cause of our anxiety. So when we accept this material body, and why we accept this material body? When we forget the Lord, then we have to come to this material world, and then we have to accept this material body, and we are supposed to accept this imprisonment, and there's a cause of all our anxieties and trouble. So by practicing Krishna consciousness, you can revive your original Krishna consciousness. Then no more material body, no more material world, and you'll go to spiritual world, and you will have your spiritual life. You have a spiritual form, spiritual existence in the spiritual world, and then there is no anxiety. That's why spiritual world is called Vaikuntha, that place where there is no kuntha, no anxieties. But this place is full with anxieties, it's full of kuntha. Let us further go. So everyone can unmute and repeat this verse. They are very beautiful verses. You must have heard it from childhood. So you can again unmute and say, Nanam chindanti shastrani.
Nanam
Nanam chindanti
chindanti
shastrani.
shastrani.
Nanam dahati pavakaha.
Nanam
Nanam
dayati
dahiti
pavakaha.
pavakaha.
Na chayanam kledayanti apo.
Na chanam
Nachanam
klidayanti
chodanyan.
apo.
Na shoshiyati marutaha.
Na shoshiyati
Nashoshati
marutvaha.
maraka.
Not everybody. Few people. Okay. Translation.
The soul can, I'm so
go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind.
Yeah, I'll go a little fast now. Purport. All kinds of weapons, swords, flame weapons, rain weapons, tornado weapons, such are unable to kill the spirit soul. It appears that there are many kinds of weapons made of earth, water, air, ether, etc. in addition to the modern weapons of fire. Even the nuclear weapons of the modern age are classified as fire weapons. But formerly there were other weapons made of different types of metal elements. Fire weapons were counteracted by water weapons, which are now unknown to modern science. Nor do modern scientists have knowledge of tornado weapons. In any case, the soul can never be cut into pieces or otherwise annihilated by any kind of weapon. The Mayavadi cannot explain how the individual soul came into existence simply by ignorance and consequently became covered by the illusory energy. Nor was it ever possible to cut the individual souls from the original Supreme Soul. Rather, the individual souls are eternally separated parts of the Supreme Soul. Because they are atomic individual souls, eternally, Sanatan, they are prone to be covered by the illusory energy, and thus they become separated from the association of the Supreme Lord. Just as the sparks of fire, although one in quality with the fire, are prone to be extinguished when out of fire. Like fire, some spark may go, but it can just get extinguished. That way. So same way, small divinity can actually get covered by illusion, and he may kind of forget his original nature of a loving servant of the Lord. In the Vara Puran, the living entities are described as separated parts and parcels of the Supreme. They're eternally so. And but again, the spiritual sparks, living entities again are put back in the association of the Lord. Then what happens? Again, they can revive their fiery nature. So that is our spiritual nature. Again, we can revive. So in the Varaha Puran, the living entities are described as separated parts and parcels of the Supreme. They're eternally so, according to Bhagavad Gita also. So even after being liberated from illusion, the living entity remains a separate identity. So we never merge in the Supreme Lord. No? हम कभी भगवान नहीं बनते. We never become God. We always remain servant of the Lord, and we should know. No, this kind of understanding is bogus. To think that, oh, when we become liberated, हम भगवान में लीन हो जाएंगे. There's nothing called भगवान में लीन होना. We never merge in Lord. We actually, just like a parrot may go in the tree, it's a green parrot entering the green tree. Does not mean that parrot has lean ho gaya tree. When you see there, the parrot actually sitting in some place and is separate individual, parrot. And there may be many other parrots, many other birds also might be. The same, even the living entity gets liberated, he goes to the spiritual world. So he does not merge. And he's remaining in the spiritual world as an individual soul. And he has, his relationship and activity and reciprocation of love with the Lord in the spiritual world. So they're eternally so. They're eternally part and parcel of the Lord, according to Bhagavad Gita also. So even after being liberated from religion, the living entity remains a separate identity, as is evident from the teachings of the Lord to Arjuna. Arjuna became liberated by the knowledge received from Krishna, but he never became one with Krishna. Next verse. Akchedayoyam adahyoyam akledayo shoshaya evacha nitya saragata sthana achaloyam sanatanaha. Translation: the individual soul is unbreakable, insoluble, and can neither be burned nor dried. Is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. Purport: all these qualifications of the atomic soul definitely prove that the individual soul is eternally the atomic particle of the spirit whole. All these qualifications of the atomic soul definitely prove that the individual soul is eternally the atomic particle of the spirit whole. And he remains the same atom eternally without change. The theory of monism is very difficult to apply in this case because the individual soul is never expected to become one homogeneously. After liberation from material contamination, the atomic soul may prefer to remain as a spiritual spark in the effulgent rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the intelligent souls enter into the spiritual planets to associate with the Personality of Godhead. Some people may get liberated, like those who don't have full awakening of their love for the Supreme Lord and they have no personal understanding properly. They have some kind of, they don't offend the Lord. They may have some personal understanding, but they are more attached to impersonal aspect of the Lord. So they may go to the Brahma Jyoti. That is, they may lie in the spiritual spark in the effulgence of the Lord. But that's not the stable state. So they have to come back. That verse is there. Ye anya aravinda vimukta manina tvayastya bhava avishuddha buddhaya aroya krishena param padam tata patati avashyam patati anadrita yushmadangreya patati anadrita yushmadangreya. It says, those souls who don't take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, they don't get engaged in the service of the Lord. So those souls, even though they may consider themselves that they got liberated, so they are unintelligent fellows. Avishuddha buddhya means they are unintelligent. Why? Because aruya krishna param padam tataha. So patati anadita yushmadagre. So it says they cannot remain there in Brahmajyoti. They have to fall. Patati anadita yushmadagre. Why? Because they disrespect the lotus feet of the Lord. Meaning they're not engaged in the service of the Lord, service of the lotus feet of the Lord. That's why they have to fall from that position. That's what this verse says. So this also comes in Srimad Bhagavatam. So you can see that only a devotee is intelligent because he does not just has impersonal idea. He actually understands Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead and he awakens his love for the Supreme Lord, engage in the service of the Lord. That's why he can go back to the spiritual world and there he can serve the Lord. The word Sarvagata, all pervading, is significant because there is no doubt that living entities are all over the God's creation. They live on the land, in the water, in the air, in the earth, and even within fire. The belief that they are sterilized in fire is not acceptable because It is clearly stated here that the soul cannot be burned by fire. Therefore, there is no doubt that there are living entities also in the sun planet with suitable bodies to live there. If the sun globe is uninhabited, uninhabited, then word sarvagata, living everywhere, becomes meaningless. So soul is everywhere. No? Sometimes people think that only the life is there only on planet Earth. No, life is everywhere. Our Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, Saturn, and all the stars, everywhere. There is no place where the limit is not there. Only thing they may there in different bodies. Like Prabhupada says that how in sun they will have more fiery element. And they have like Brahmaji's body is made up of intelligence. No? It's quite subtle. No? His whole body is made up of intelligence. No? There may not be gross body like us. So now they have different kinds of bodies, no? In different dimensions. So sometimes even if you go to other planets, you may not be able to even perceive them because you have a gross vision. They may be existing in different dimensions sometimes. So that's our limitation. But the souls are everywhere. In the air, it is there. Now, so many millions of souls are there in the air. Same way under the earth. Same way in the water, the fire. Everywhere the divinities are there. That's what divinity is called Sarvagata. Avyaktyo amachintyo yam avikaro yamuchyate tasmadevam vidit vainam nanushochitumarhasi. Yes, read the translation, please. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. Purport, as described previously, the magnitude of the soul is so small for our material calculation that it cannot be seen even by the most powerful microscope. As far as the soul's existence is concerned, no one can establish its existence experimentally beyond the proof of Shruti or Vedic wisdom. We have to accept this truth because there is no other source of understanding the existence of the soul, although it is a fact by perception. There are many things we have to accept solely on the grounds of superior authority. No one can deny the existence of his father based on the authority of his mother. There is no source of understanding the identity of the father except by authority of the mother. Similarly, there is no source of understanding the soul except by studying the Vedas. In other words, the soul is inconceivable by human experimental knowledge. The soul is consciousness and conscious. That also is a statement of the Vedas, and we have to accept that. Unlike the bodily changes, there is no change in the soul. As eternally unchangeable, the soul remains atomic in comparison to the infinite supreme soul. The supreme soul is infinite and the atomic soul is infinitesimal. Therefore, the infinitesimal soul, being unchangeable, can never become equal to the finite soul or the supreme personality of Godhead. This concept is repeated in the Vedas in different ways just to confirm the stability of the conception of the soul. Repetition of something is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without error. Yeah, so we have to accept the understanding of soul by Vedas, because by human experiments we cannot prove it. We are not able to see only, because one thing is very tiny, small. By greatest microscope also you can't. And even if you have a microscope, still you can't, because soul is spiritual, it is not material. अथ चैनम नित्य जातम नित्यम वा मन्यसे मृतम तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैनम शोचितुम अर्हसि. Some of you may get a question that if a soul is so small, tiny particle, which is there and who's activating the entire body, then how we have a spiritual form, spiritual existence? So the thing is that when soul comes in this material world, then gets shrink, and it remains in a seed form. But as you become, a pure devotee, then and you go to spiritual world, then again you revive your spiritual form. Because right now we are not acting on our original constitutional position, the servant of the Lord. So now the soul is like seed form like this. But as we go back to spiritual world, again you revive your original spiritual form like that, and you have your own spiritual mind, spiritual senses, spiritual body, like that, depending upon what you are in the spiritual world. Like some of our acharyas are gopis, some of the acharyas are manjaris. Manjaris mean small girls. They may be here in the body of a man, having is a man externally body, but the soul is actually a small girl in the spiritual world, the manjari. But that small girl is not like ordinary girl; it's a spiritual form, completely spiritual body. So there is no material element there. So The high subject matter. Go ahead. अथ चयनं नित्यजातं नित्यं वा मन्यसे मृतं तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नयनं शोचितुमर्हसि. Yeah, go ahead.
If, however, you think that the soul, or the symptoms of life, is always born and dies forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed.
Hmm. If you think soul is born and dies forever, then still you don't have reason to lament. I think we did read this first other day. Purport. There is a class of philosophers almost akin to the Buddhists who do not believe in the separate existence of soul beyond the body. When Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, it appears that such philosophers existed, and they were known as the Lokayatikas and Vaibhasikas. Such philosophers maintain that life symptoms take place at a certain mature condition of material combination. The modern material scientists and materialist philosophers also think similarly. According to them, the body is a combination of physical elements, and at a certain stage, the life symptoms develop by interaction of the physical and chemical elements. The science of anthropology is based on this philosophy. Currently, many pseudo religions, now becoming fashionable in America, are also adhering to this philosophy, as are the nihilistic, non devotional Buddhist sects. Even if Arjuna did not believe in the existence of the soul, as in the Vaibhasika philosophy, there would still have been no cause for lamentation. No one laments the loss of a certain bulk of chemicals and stops discharging its prescribed duty. On the other hand, just 1 minute. Huh? Hare Krishna. Just 1 minute. One person wants to join. Yeah, so he says, so in case whether Arjuna, okay. On the other, so no one laments of a certain bulk of chemicals and stops discharging his responsibility. On the other hand, in modern science and scientific warfare, so many tons of chemicals are wasted for achieving victory over the enemy. According to the Vaibhasika philosophy, the so-called soul or Atma vanishes along with the deterioration of the body. So in any case, whether Arjuna accepted the Vedic conclusion that there is an atomic soul or he did not believe in the existence of the soul, he had no reason to lament. According to this theory, since there are so many living entities generating out of matter every moment, and so many of them are being vanquished every moment, there is no need to grieve for such incidents. If there were no rebirth for the soul, Arjuna had no reasons to be afraid of being affected by sinful reactions due to his killing his grandfather and teacher. But at the same time, Krishna sarcastically addressed Arjuna as Mahabahu, mighty arm, because he at least did not accept the theory of the Vaibhasikas, which leaves aside the Vedic wisdom. As a Kshatriya, Arjuna belonged to the Vedic culture and it behooved him to continue to follow its principles. Text 27. The nice words, all of you can unmute and repeat after me. जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युर्
जातस्य हि ध्रुवं
ध्रुवं जन्मामृतस्य च
ध्रुवं जन्मामृतस्य च
तस्मात् अपरिहार्येऽर्थे
तस्मादपरिहार्येते
न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि.
न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि.
Translation.
One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament.
Purport. One who has to take birth according to one's activities of life. And after finishing one term of activities, one has to die to take birth for the next. In this way, one is going through one cycle of birth and death after another without liberation. The cycle of birth and death does not, however, support unnecessary murder, slaughter, and war. But at the same time, violence and war are inevitable factors in human society for keeping law and order. The battle of Kurukshetra, being the will of the Supreme, was an inevitable event. And to fight for the right cause is the duty of a Kshatriya. Why should Arjuna be afraid of or aggrieved at the death of his relative since he was discharging his proper duty? He did not deserve to break the law, thereby becoming subjected to the reactions of sinful acts, of which he was so afraid. By avoiding the discharge of his proper duty, he would not be able to stop the death of his relatives, and he would be degraded due to his selection of the wrong path of action. See, Arjuna's situation is like this. Suppose you're a judge, and you have to give a death sentence to your own relative who has done some kind of crime, and you are the person who is going to give that, and you have a choice. You can forgive them or you can give them the punishment. Now, ordinarily, if anybody is there, then you could have easily given, okay, death punishment because he has done such a certain kind of act. But now, I suppose he's your own uncle, no? He's your own uncle, and he is there in the Kadhara, no? And then you have to declare the punishment. No? Okay, yeah, he should be hanged. How difficult it would be for you. So what you should do? So it's your duty. So you have to say. So that's how the Arjuna was also put in situation. So Arjuna here, that is his duty. That is what Krishna wanted him to do for establishing dharma. So, but Arjuna also, but just like you may have affection for your uncle. So Arjuna had also that affection. So it was a very difficult situation for Arjuna. Just to give you some example, just to relate, to help you to relate. I just told this. Next, avyaktaadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidhananyeva tatra ka parivedevana. It says all created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? Purport: accepting that there are two classes of philosophers, one believing in the existence of the soul, another non-believing in the existence of the soul. There is no cause for lamentation in either case. Non-believers in the existence of the soul are called atheists by the followers of Vedic wisdom. Yet even if, for argument's sake, we accept this atheistic theory, there is still no cause for lamentation. Apart from the separate existence of the soul, the material elements remain unmanifested before creation. From this subtle state of non-manifestation comes manifestation. Just as from ether, air is generated, from air, fire is generated, from fire, water is generated, and from water, earth becomes manifested. From earth, many varieties of manifestations take place. Take, for example, a big skyscraper manifested from the earth. When it is dismantled, the manifestation becomes again unmanifested and remains as atoms in the ultimate stage. The law of conservation of energy remains, but in course of time, things are manifested and unmanifested. That is the difference. Then what is the cause there for lamentation, either in the stage of manifestation or in unmanifestation? Somehow or other, even in the unmanifested stage, things are not lost. Both at the beginning and at the end, all elements remain unmanifested, and only the middle are they manifested, and this does not make any real material difference. And if we accept the Vedic conclusion, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, that these material bodies are perishable in due course of time, antavantame ime deha, but that the soul is eternal, nityayukta sharirinaha, nityasukta. Then we must remember always that the body is like a dress. Therefore, why lament the changing of a dress? The material body has no factual existence in relation to the eternal soul. It is something like a dream. In a dream, we may think of flying in the sky or sitting on a chariot as a king. But when we wake up, we can see that we are neither in the sky nor seated on the chariot. The Vedic wisdom encourages self-realization on the basis of the non-existence of the material body. Therefore, in either case, whether one believes in the existence of the soul or one does not believe in the existence of the soul, there is no cause for lamentation for loss of the body. You understood, no? The first paragraph is talking about if somebody does not believe in the existence of the soul, how the elements remain all the time. No? There is suppose body which is just chemicals. Before also all chemicals are there, unmanifested. Now it's manifested. Again, it's still there. So what is the cause of lamentation? There's no difference. It's always there. And the soul, if it exists, so if you accept the existence of the soul and different from body, then it just body is changing and soul is eternal. So there is no lamentation. So you remain eternal. You always live. So both cases, There's nothing to lament. That's what it's saying, trying to say. आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेन आश्चर्यवत् वदति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवच्चैनम् अन्यशृणोति श्रुत्वापि एनं वेद न चैव कश्चित्. Translation.
Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all.
Purport. Since Gita Upanishad is fully based on the principles of Upanishads, it is not surprising to find this parallel passage in the Katha Upanishad 1.2.7. Chavanyāpi bahubhe yona labhya shrimantupi bhuvam yam na viduhu. Ascharya vyakta kushalolya labdha Ascharya jityata kushalanushishtata. That fact that the atomic soul is within the body of a gigantic animal, in the body of a gigantic banyan tree, and also in the microbic germs, millions and billions of which occupy only an inch of space, is certainly very amazing. Men with a poor fund of knowledge and men who are not austere cannot understand the wonders of the individual atomic spark of spirit, even though it is explained by the greatest authority of the knowledge, who imparted lessons even to Brahma, the first living being in the universe. This is a very important point. Those people who are not austere means those who don't follow any regulative principles, those who don't follow discipline life. For them, it's very difficult to understand the concept of soul. Owing to a gross material conception of things, most men in this age cannot imagine how such a small particle can become both so great and so small. So men look at the soul proper as wonderful, either by constitution or by description. Illusioned by the material energy, people are so engrossed in subject matters for sense gratification that they have a very little time to understand the question of self-understanding. Even though it is a fact that without this self-understanding, all activities result in ultimate defeat in the struggle for existence. Perhaps they have no idea that one must think of the soul and thus make a solution to the material miseries. Some people who are inclined to hear about the soul may be attending lectures in good association, but sometimes, owing to ignorance, they are misguided by acceptance of the super soul and atomic soul as one without distinction of magnitude. So some people who may be interested in soul, sometimes they are misguided, thinking that soul and super soul are the same. That is another mistake. So, okay, they are understanding there is something beyond the body, but they do the mistake of thinking soul and super soul are one only. It is very difficult to find a man who perfectly understands the position of the super soul, the atomic soul, their respective functions and relationship, and all other major and minor details. And it's still more difficult to find a man who has actually derived full benefit from knowledge of the soul and who is able to describe the position of the soul in different aspects. But if somehow the other one is able to understand the subject matter of the soul, that one's life is successful. The easiest process for understanding the subject matter of self, however, is to accept the statements of the Bhagavad Gita spoken by the greatest authority, Lord Krishna, without being diverted by other theories. But also requires a great deal of penance and sacrifice, either in this life or in the previous life, before one is able to accept Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. So all of you are done a lot of past life. So you are able to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means you are not ordinary people. You all must have done so much of past life, so much of devotion service in previous lives or this life. So you are all very fortunate souls. You are rare and very rare and fortunate, exceptionally wonderful personalities. Those who have done some devotional service in past. So it's nice. So what it says that it requires also a great deal of penance and sacrifice either in this life or in previous ones, before one is able to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna can, however, be known as such by the causeless mercy of the pure devotee and by no other way. So we all have got the causeless mercy of a pure devotee. That's why we are able to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dehi nityam avadhyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natam shochitamarhasi. Translation.
O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being.
How many ways Krishna is telling about the soul, you can see. just convincing him, telling him, hammering him that how you're not the body or soul, don't lament. Purport. The Lord now concludes the chapter of instruction on the immutable spirit soul. In describing the immortal soul in various ways, Lord Krishna establishes that the soul is immortal and the body is temporary. Therefore, Arjuna as a Kshatriya should not abandon his duty out of fear that his grandfather and teacher Bhishma and Drona will die in the battle. On the authority of Sri Krishna, one has to believe that there is a soul different from the material body, not that there is no such thing as soul, or that living symptoms develop at a certain stage of material maturity resulting from the interaction of the chemicals. So the soul is immortal, violence is not encouraged, but at the time of war, it is not discouraged when there is actual need for it. That need must be justified in terms of the sanction of the Lord and not capriciously. The soul is eternal. So even if suppose some of our loved ones, our relatives, family members may sometimes leave us also, they still remain. Their soul is still continuing, their journey ahead. And if you perform devotional service nicely, so they also get benefited for sure. They are getting the fruit of your devotional service because you are offering prayers and you have affection for them. So they also get benefited. So one can always benefit the soul, even though he might have left, from your physical vicinity. So there's nothing to lament. One can think of his welfare, the person's welfare, and do devotional duties, devotional activities for his benefit. Of course, for your benefit and for the other person's benefit. It will automatically happen because you have affection. The Lord will surely help them get closer and closer to the Lord. Swadharmapi cha veksha na vikampitum arhasi dharmyad yadrachiyonyat satriyasya na vidyate. Yeah, can you read the translation?
Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, so there is no need for hesitation.
Yeah. So I'll just share you the this one. So we have read till 11 to 30, that is analysis of body and soul, 11 to 30. So 31 to 37 is sakama karma. Performing prescribed duty gives enjoyment. So Krishna is giving him some kind of understanding that, by doing your Satya duty, you will not suffer. That is the way you materially also you will enjoy only. Of course, that is not the highest platform. But Krishna is giving this logic. Don't think by not doing your duty, you'll be enjoying because your relatives will remain, they'll all be alive, so then only you'll be happy. And if you kill them, then you cannot enjoy because they all died. No. If you do your duty, then only you become happy in this world. Do your prescribed duty, then only you can be happy. So that's what he's saying. Ultimately, you'll be happy if you do your prescribed duty nicely. That's not the highest, again, I'm saying. It is sakam karma. Krishna is giving some kind of material, kind of understanding that, you happy materially also you'll be happy if you do your duty. So it's just giving a compromised understanding. As I was saying that sometimes just to make a person understand, one can give the reasons from different angles. But the highest cause is that it's the order of the Lord, and by performing service to the Lord, by killing his own relatives, by doing this service, devotional service, the Arjuna actually will attain the perfection of life. That's the perfection of life. That's the only thing. So that is the last verse. Sarvadharman parityaja mamekam sharnam. But here Krishna is giving some more compromised reasons for why Arjuna should still fight. Even for material happiness also, he should fight only. Even if you want to get material enjoyment, this is the way to should. Then only you can. If you do prescribed, then only you can be happy. So let me go to the verse again. Yeah. So saying, considering your specific duty as Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting the religion. There is no need for it. Purport. Out of 4 orders of social administration, the second order for the matter of good administration is called Kshatriya. Chat means hurt. One who gives protection from harm is called Kshatriya. Trayate, to give protection. The Kshatriyas are trained for killing in the forest. A Kshatriya would go into the forest and challenge a tiger face to face and fight the tiger with his sword. When the tiger was killed, it would be offered the royal order of cremation. The system has been followed even up to the present day by the Kshatriya kings of Jaipur state. The Kshatriyas are specially trained for challenging and killing because religious violence is sometimes a necessary factor. Therefore, Kshatriyas are never meant for accepting directly the order of sannyas or renunciation. Non-violence in politics may be a diplomacy, but it is never a factor or principle. In the religious law books, it is stated, आहवेषु मिथो न्यूनं जिघां सन्तो महीक्षिता युद्धमाना परं शक्त्या स्वर्गं यान्ति अपरान्मुखा यज्ञेषु पशवो ब्रह्मन् हन्यन्ते सततं द्विजैः संस्कृताः किल मन्त्रैश्च तेऽपि स्वर्गम् अवाप्नुवन्. In the battlefield, a king or kshatriya, while fighting another king envious of him, is eligible for achieving the heavenly planets after death, as the Brahmanas also attain the heavenly planets by sacrificing animals in the sacrificial fire. Therefore, killing on the battlefield on religious principles and killing animals in the sacrificial fire are not at all considered to be acts of violence, because everyone is benefited by the religious principles involved. The animal sacrifice gets a human life immediately without undergoing the gradual evolutionary process from one form to another. But this is not allowed in Kaluga. That's called Ashwamedha Yagya or Gomedha Yagya, where they were offered a sacrifice, and that was done because Brahmanas would be given a test whether they are qualified or not yet, and that's how they would sacrifice, and they would get the next birth as humans. So, but this is not allowed because there are no qualified Brahmanas to do that at this age. That's why when people are doing this animal killing in the name of Vedas, so Buddha came and told, reject the Vedas, don't follow, because they were misusing the Vedas. So it's not allowed for the Kali people. So animals, okay, without undergoing the gradual, okay. And the Kshatriyas killed on the battlefield also attain the heavenly planets, as do the Brahmanas who attain them by offering sacrifice. There are two kinds of swadharmas, specific duties. As long as one is not liberated, one has to perform the duties of his particular body in accordance with religious principles in order to achieve liberation. When one is liberated, one's swadharma, specific duty, becomes spiritual, and it is not in the material bodily concept. In the bodily conception of life, there are specific duties for the Brahmana, Kshatriya, respectively, and these duties are unavoidable. Such swadharma is ordained by the Lord, and this will be Such Swadharma is ordained by the Lord, and this will be clarified in the 4th chapter. On the body plane, Swadharma is called Varnashrama Dharma, or man's stepping stone for spiritual understanding. Human civilization begins from the stage of Varnashrama Dharma. This is very important line, because human civilization does not act like a human until it is proper Varnashrama Dharma. It lives like cats and dogs only. I'm sorry to share, but I was shocked when I hear sometimes here, like in the cab, yesterday, Sunday was Friday, we were driving. So that cab driver, we just talking. He said that he has 5 kids. Oh, we said okay, fine. Then he told one kid is one place, another kid another place, another kid another. How come so many places? You have so many places. Then he said that no, they're staying with the mom. We're staying with mom, but you said that you're staying with your wife here. So then he told no, 3 times he got married, and 5, through 5, like 2 times he did not get married, but he got kids, and 3 times he was married and he got kids. Like that, there are 5 kids, one kid from each, like that, something like that. And I was thinking, my Lord, this is how, and this is not, it's very ordinary thing. Like recently, one devotee. He was telling his father got divorced, mother got married 4 times. So like that, there are many cases. Another boy came here for training. So he also told he has 4, 5 stepfathers, 4, 5 stepmothers. So this is how this is actually chaotic. Varnashrama dharma. There is no Varnashrama dharma because there is no proper marriages. There is no proper samskara. There is no proper brahmana, kshatriyas, vaishyas, sudras. So there is no proper division. There is no proper engagements. There is no proper samskaras. There are no proper occupations. So this whole varnashrama is topsy-turvy. So there are no specific duties defined. So human civilization begins from the stage of Varnashrama Dharma or specific duties. And why Varnashrama is required? Because Varnashrama makes you civilized human, and then you can focus on devotional service nicely. Of course, Srila Prabhupada came, he saw the kind of topsy-turvy situation of West. He did not too much, he tried his best. He got his disciples married. Some of the disciples, they already have kids, they are not married. So he got them married, and he himself conducted marriages and properly tried to give them understanding how the marriage life is a responsible thing and all that. So Prabhupada, to whatever extent he tried his best, to do that as an emergency. But Prabhupada did not wait for Varnashrama Dharma to properly, first get and then Krishna consciousness. He gave Krishna consciousness to everyone. You are drug addict, you are a debauchee, you are a divorcee, you're a cow killer, anything. You chant Hare Krishna. And by chanting Hare Krishna, slowly, you will purified, and then you become human, and then you will become Vaishnava, and you become completely purified, like that. So, Muktananda was sharing, there was one man, he got in touch with Prabhupada in 1965 and somewhere in New York. And then he would come and go like that. He was a bit touched, he was chanting sometimes here, there, like that. But after some years, he had a business and everything, and then he was so frustrated later. And then he moved to the temple along with his wife. Actually, she was not wife. No, they did not get married. So he just came with his, that, so God, you can say wife. And that one kid also, though they were not married. And they moved to the temple. All of them moved to temple in Boston. So this was almost 10 or 12 years later. Because he thought, better I'll practice Krishna consciousness properly. And then what happens after some time, maybe a year or so, his wife, she left with a kid. She said, no, I don't want to stay. And this man, he did not go. He said, no, I will continue my devotion service. And he continued, and he continued, and he continued, and he went on and on and on, and was so seriously practicing, distributing books, doing so much devotion service. And later he took sannyas. And now he's a sannyasi. He's still there. He's a sannyasi. So can you imagine? They become so purified. They become so purified and become so enthusiastic in devotional service. So it is a very powerful process, devotional service. It does not wait for even Varnashrama. Now his Varnashrama situation was topsy-turvy, but he took shelter of the Lord. So even though somebody's Varnashrama situation is topsy-turvy, somebody still there is no bar to take shelter of the Lord. But in general, Varnashrama situation supports ones to remain peaceful and civilized and peaceful, so that he can focus on the devotional service. It's not easy otherwise, because very topsy-turvy Varnashrama situation, then becomes very difficult for one to come to the platform and to take shelter of the Lord sometimes. To perform devotional service peacefully will be challenging, like that. So it's in general, that's why Varnashrama Dharma is important and good for the society. ISKCON is working a lot on this aspect. So discharging one's specific duty in any field of action in accordance with the orders of higher authorities serves to elevate one to higher status of mind. Human civilization begins from the stage of Varnashrama Dharma, or specific duties in terms of the specific modes of nature of the body obtained. Discharging one's specific duty in any field of action in accordance with the orders of higher authorities. Serves to elevate one to higher status of life. So somebody does specific duty, and in any action, in any field, and under the orders of higher authorities, so that brings him to higher status of life, like that. So what to speak of devotional service? When you are doing your devotional duties under the guidance of a bona fide guru, you'll attain the highest status of life. That is to go back to God. Yadrichya chopapannam swargadvaram apavritam sukhina kshatriya partha labante yuddhamitrasham prafisham. Oh Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come an onslaught, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. Purport. As supreme teacher of the world, Lord Krishna condemns the attitude of Arjuna, who said, I do not find any good in this fighting. It will cause perpetual habitation in hell. Such statements by Arjuna were due to ignorance only. He wanted to become non-violent in the discharge of his specific duty. For a Kshatriya to be on the battlefield and to become non-violent is the philosophy of fools. In the Parashara Smriti, or religious quotes made by Parashara, the great sage and father of Vyasadeva, it is stated, Kshatriyo hi praja rakshan shastrapani pradandayan nirjitya parasanyadi chitim dharmena palayet. The Kshatriya's duty is to protect the citizens from all kinds of difficulties, and for that reason he has to apply violence in suitable cases for law and order. Therefore, he has to conquer the soldiers of inimical kings. And thus, with religious principles, he should rule over the world. Parashara Smriti 1.61. Considering all aspects, Arjuna had no reason to refrain from fighting. If he should conquer his enemies, he would enjoy the kingdom And if he should die in the battle, he would be elevated to the heavenly planets, whose doors were wide open to him. Fighting would be for his benefit in either case. So that's the point. Happy Satyas to whom such fighting opportunities come slot, opening for them the doors of heavenly planets. Yeah, so if you die in the battlefield, you go to heaven. If you win, then you conquer the kingdom and you become the king. So you enjoy here in this world. So both ways, Kshatriyas are benefited. So in any case, he should not deviate from his prescribed duty. That's what he's saying. So it's on material ground also. Arjuna should not refrain from his prescribed duty like that. अथ चेत्त्वमिमं धर्म्यं संगामं न करिष्यसि तथा स्वधर्मकीर्तिं न छित्त्वा पापमवाप्स्यसि. Translation. If, however, you do not perform this religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. Purport. Arjuna was a famous fighter and he attained fame by fighting many great demigods, including even Lord Shiva. After fighting and defeating Lord Shiva in the dress of a hunter, Arjuna pleased the Lord and received as a reward a weapon called Pashupatastra. Everyone knew that he was a great warrior. Even Dronacharya gave him benedictions and awarded him the special weapon by which he could kill even his teacher. So he was credited with so many military certificates from many authorities, including his adopted father Indra, the heavenly king. But if he abandoned the battle, if he abandoned the battle, not only would he neglect his specific duty as Kshatriya, but he would lose all his fame and good name, and thus prepare his royal road to hell. In other words, he would go to hell not by fighting, but by withdrawing from battle. So, Arjuna was telling the reason, right? That sin will occur. But actually, Krishna is saying if you don't fight, that will incur sin. And that way you lose your reputation as a fighter, and actually that will be degradation for you. You'd go to hell not by fighting, but by withdrawing from battle. That way you go to hell because you're neglecting your duty. Clear, no? So this is by avoiding fighting, you will incur sin, infamy, and criticism. That's the point. अकीर्तिं चापि भूतानि कथयिष्यन्ति ते व्ययाम् संभावितस्य चाकीर्ति मरणादिति रच्यते. Read the translation.
People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death.
Dishonor is worse than death. Purport. Both as a friend and philosopher to Arjuna, Lord Krishna now gives his final judgment regarding Arjuna's refusal to fight. The Lord says, Arjuna, if you leave the battlefield before the battle even begins, people will call you a coward. And if you think that people may call you bad names, but that you will save your life by fleeing the battlefield, then my advice is that you better to die in the battle. For a respectable man like you, ill fame is worse than death. So you should not flee for fear of your life, better die in the battle. That will save you from the ill fame of misusing my friendship and from losing your prestige in society. So the final judgment of the Lord was for Arjuna to die in the battle and not withdraw. Text 35. भयाद्रणादु परतं मंस्यते त्वां महारथा येषा च तं बहुमतो भूत्वा याससि लाघवम्.
The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant.
Just one minute, put the charger. Yeah. So I think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and they will consider you insignificant. Yeah, Arjuna may want to come out because he is noble soul. He does not want to kill them, but people will say that he has run away out of fear. So who have highly severe day people think that you have left the battle out of fear, and thus they will consider you insignificant. Purport: Lord Krishna continued to give his verdict to Arjuna. Do not think that the great generals like Duryodhana, Karna, and other contemporaries will think that you have left the battlefield out of compassion for your brothers and grandfather. They will think that you have left out of fear of your life. Fear. And thus their high estimation of your personality will go to hell. On this very different perspective, right? Why Krishna is telling like that? Because for Kshatriya, the honor is so important. As a devotee, Arjuna is not concerned actually, as a Vaishnava. Okay. But Krishna is giving him a reason on material ground as well. अवाच्यवादांश बहुन वदिष्यन्ति वातवाहिता निंदस्तनं स्वापमर्थ्यं ततो दुःखतरं किम्. Translation.
Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you?
Yeah. So go we find ultimate in there. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you? Lord Krishna was astonishing in the beginning at Arjuna's uncalled plea for compassion. Was astonished. Krishna was astonished in the beginning at the Arjuna's uncalled for plea for compassion. And he described his compassion as befitting the non-Aryans. Now, in so many words, he has proved his statements against Arjuna's so-called compassion. So now, this 37 verse onwards, it is going to tell benefit of fight. I mean, this one verse, benefit of fight, kingdom in victory and heaven in defeat. That is already spoken. Translation. Oh, okay. Did I read the verse? No. Hato va prasasi swargam jitva va bhokshase mahim tasmaduttishta kaunteya yuddhaya krita nishchayaha. Translation. Read the translation somebody.
O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up with determination and fight.
Even though there was no certainty of victory for Arjuna's side, he still had to fight. For even being killed there, he could be elevated into the heavenly planets. So, though uncertainty of victory was there, but still in both the cases, Arjuna is victorious in the sense either he'll go to heavenly planet or he will enjoy the kingdom here, have the kingdom here. So now next verse onwards, text 38 onwards, Nishkam Karma Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, detached work without reaction. That is being explained. How Arjuna should fight being detached to the result. That is being explained. Nishkama Karma Yoga. Do your activities with detachment. So you can repeat after me. Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujjasva naivam papamo apsasi. Read the translation.
Do thou fight for the sake of fighting without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by doing so you shall never incur sin.
Therefore, Lord Krishna directly says that Arjuna should fight for the sake of fighting because he desires the battle. Yeah, so he's telling his desire. There is no consideration of happiness or distress, profit or loss, victory or defeat in the activities of Krishna consciousness. Now, Prabhupada is giving complete bhakti purport. But how in devotional service, in order of the Lord, order of Guru, there's a final thing. Don't worry about any other thing. That itself is weight, the heavy weight, the order of Guru and Krishna. The whole world is one place, Guru, order of Guru and Krishna is another thing. So always that weight is always more. There is no consideration of happiness or distress, profit or loss, victory or defeat in the activities of Krishna consciousness. That everything should be performed for the sake of Krishna's transcendental consciousness. So there is no reaction to material activities. He who acts for his own sense gratification, either in goodness or in passion, is subject to the reaction, good or bad. But he who has completely surrendered himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness is no longer obliged to anyone, nor is he a debtor to anyone, as one is in the ordinary course of activities. It is said, Devarshi bhutatmanrinam pitranam na kinkaro nayam rinicha rajan sarvatmanaya sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam parihatya kartum. Read the translation. Welcome.
Anyone who has completely surrendered unto Krishna, Mukund, giving all other duties, is no longer a debtor,
Not debater, debtor.
debtor, nor,
Debtor means rini.
nor is he obliged to anyone, not the demigods, nor the sages, nor the people in general, nor kinsmen, nor humanity, nor forefathers.
That is the indirect hint given by Krishna to Arjuna in this verse. And the matter will be more clearly explained in the following verses. So one should do his duty without considering all these external factors. Loss, gain, happiness, distress, victory, defeat and all that. So one should do it because Krishna wants him to do, Guru wants him to do, so one should do it. Esha te bihita sankhe buddhiryoge timam shunu buddhaya yukto yaya partha karma bandha prahasyasi. Translation.
Thus far I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results. O son of Parth, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of works.
Yeah. So 39 to 40, Buddhi Yoga, no loss in this yoga. So this is what Krishna is going to tell. That is detachment, working with detachment without fundamentality. Purport. According to the Nirukti or the Vedic theory, Sankhya means that which describes things in detail. And Sankhya refers to that philosophy which describes the real nature of the soul. And yoga involves controlling the senses. Arjuna's proposal not to fight was based on sense gratification. Forgetting his prime duty, he wanted to cease fighting because he thought that by not killing his relatives and kinsmen, he would be happier than by enjoying the kingdom after conquering his cousins, the sons of Dhritarashtra. In both ways, the basic principles were for sense gratification. Happiness derived from conquering them and happiness derived by seeing kinsmen alive are both on basis of personal sense gratification. You're getting this point now? The previous verses, Krishna was telling, even for material enjoyment also, you fight, and that way you will enjoy kingdom or you go to heaven. But here, is giving much higher understanding. What is the higher understanding? Happiness derived from conquering them or happiness derived by seeing kinsmen alive, both are on the basis of personal sense gratification. Both kind of mentality to enjoy is actually sense gratification. Both are condemned. Even at a sacrifice of even at a sacrifice, happiness derived from conquering them and happiness derived by seeing kinsmen alive, both on the basis of personal sense gratification, even at a sacrifice of wisdom and duty. Krishna therefore wanted to explain to Arjuna that by killing the body of his grandfather, he would not be killing the soul proper. And he explained that all individual persons, the Lord himself, are eternal individuals. They are individuals in the past and they are individuals in the present, and they will continue to remain individuals in the future. Because all of us are individual souls eternally. We simply change our bodily dress in different manners, but actually we keep our individuality even after liberation from the bondage of material dress. An analytical study of the soul and the body has been very graphically explained by Lord Krishna. And this descriptive knowledge of the soul and the body from different angles of vision has been described here as Sankhya in terms of Nirukti dictionary. The Sankhya has nothing to do with Sankhya philosophy of the atheistic Kapila. Long before the impostor Kapilas, long before the impostor Kapilas Sankhya, the Sankhya philosophy was expounded in the Srimad Bhagavatam by the true Lord Kapila, the incarnation of Lord Krishna, who explained it to his mother Devavati. It is certainly explained by him that the Purusha or the Supreme Lord is active and that he creates by looking over the Prakriti. This is accepted in the Vedas and in the Gita. The description in the Vedas indicates that the Lord glanced over the Prakriti or nature and impregnated it with atomic individual souls. All these individuals are working in the material world for some gratification. And under the spell of material energy, they are thinking of being enjoyers. This mentality is dragged to the last point of liberation when the living entity wants to become one with the Lord. This is the last layer of Maya or sense gratificatory illusion. And it is only after many, many births of such sense gratificatory activity that a great soul surrenders unto Vasudev, Lord Krishna, thereby fulfilling the search after the ultimate truth. Arjuna has already accepted Krishna as his spiritual master by surrendering himself unto him. Shashyasteham Shadi Mamtam Prapannam. Consequently, Krishna will now tell him about the working process in Buddhi Yoga or Karma Yoga, or in other words, the practice of devotional service only for the sense gratification of the Lord. This Buddhi Yoga is clearly explained in chapter 10, verse 10, as being direct communion with the Lord, who is sitting as Paramatma in everyone's heart. But such communion does not take place without devotional service. One who is therefore situated in devotional or transcendental loving service to the Lord, or in other words, in Krishna consciousness, attain to this stage of Buddhi Yoga by the special grace of the Lord. The Lord says, therefore, that only to those who are always engaged in devotional service out of transcendental love does he award the pure knowledge of devotion in love. In that way, the devotee can reach him easily in the ever blissful kingdom of God. The Buddhi Yoga mentioned in this verse is the devotional service of the Lord. And the word Sankhya mentioned herein has nothing to do with the atheistic Sankhya Yoga initiated by the impostor Kapila. One should not therefore misunderstand that the Sankhya Yoga mentioned herein has any connection with the atheistic Sankhya. Nor did that philosophy have any influence during that time. Nor would Lord Krishna care to mention such godless philosophical speculations. Real Sankhya philosophy is described by Lord Kapila in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But even that Sankhya has nothing to do with the current topics. Here Sankhya means analytical description of the body and the soul. Lord Krishna made an analytical description of the soul just to bring Arjuna to the point of Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, Lord Krishna's Sankhya and Lord Kapila's Sankhya has described in Bhagavatam are one and the same. They are all Bhakti Yoga. Lord Krishna said, therefore, that only the less intelligent class of men make a distinction between Sankhya Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Lord Krishna said, okay. Sankhya Yoga Prathak Bala Pravadanti na Pandita. Of course, atheistic Sankhya Yoga has nothing to do with Bhakti Yoga. Yet the unintelligent claim that the atheistic Sankhya Yoga is referred to in the Bhagavad Gita. One should therefore understand that Buddhi Yoga means to work in Krishna consciousness, in the full bliss and knowledge of devotional service. One who works for the satisfaction of the Lord only, however difficult such work may be, is working under the principles of Buddhi Yoga. So yeah, so there may be a lot of difficulties in doing our devotional duties. But still, if you are working for the satisfaction of the Lord, so that is actually the principle of Buddhi Yoga, and that is Bhakti. And finds himself always in transcendental bliss. You'll find yourself in bliss. By such transcendental engagement, one achieves all transcendental understanding automatically by the grace of the Lord, and thus his liberation is complete in itself, without his making extraneous endeavors to acquire knowledge. There is much difference between work in Krishna consciousness and work for fruitive results, especially in the matter of sense gratification, for achieving results in terms of family or material happiness. Buddhi Yoga is therefore the transcendental quality of the work that we perform. So nice paragraph. Last paragraph is so powerful. One should therefore understand Buddhi Yoga means to work in Krishna consciousness in the full bliss and knowledge of devotional service. One who works for the satisfaction of the Lord only, however difficult such work may be, is working under the principle of Buddhi Yoga and finds himself always in transcendental bliss. By such transcendental engagement, one achieves all transcendental understanding automatically by the grace of the Lord. And thus, his liberation is complete in itself, without his making extraneous endeavors to acquire knowledge. So he automatically gets knowledge. Divya Gyan Hridaya Prakashito. There is much difference between work in Krishna consciousness and work for fruitive results, that is, for material benefits, especially in the matter of sense gratification for achieving results in terms of family or material happiness. Buddhi Yoga is therefore the transcendental quality of the work that we perform, means we do it only for the pleasure of the Lord. So I want all of you now to think about this paragraph and tell me some work in Krishna consciousness which you do, and you do it for the satisfaction of the Lord. However, it is difficult for that work is not easy. It is painful in different ways, maybe physically, mentally, egoistically. It may be somewhat painful, but still you do it and you feel blissful. But you do it, however, that work may be difficult. So all of you can think of something and please share with me. If you're ready, can raise your hand, can just start sharing. Yes? Okay. If you're not ready, I will pick Virat Prabhu. Go ahead, Virat Prabhu.
Of course, atheistic Sankhya Yoga has nothing to do with Bhakti Yoga. Yet
Wait. I have a question. Are you hearing?
I was trying to hear Prabhuji.
I have a question. I was asking a question.
Oh, no, I didn't hear the question, Prabhuji.
Right? So I was saying that the written, no? One who works for satisfaction of the Lord, no matter how difficult work may be, is working as the principle of Bhajya Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and he finds himself in transcendental bliss. So I was asking, do you have any experience of this, where the work was kind of difficult, or it is difficult, but still you work for the satisfaction of the Lord and Guru, and that brings you some transcendental bliss?
Oh, yeah. So, like sometimes the work I do in my day job in Boston, that brings me. I believe that if I work for a devotee, then it brings satisfaction to the Lord because it helps the devotee.
Which day job and which devotee I couldn't get?
Just doing like any type of like healthcare treatment on a devotee, and if it just helps them better their life, then I believe that could provide satisfaction to the Lord.
I think Virat Prabhu worked on my tooth a lot.
Yeah.
That was a difficult job for you. You were extending a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
In fastest bridge you made, I think, before you had to leave.
Yeah, fastest in the school.
Yeah, because he has to go out of the school and there's only few days were remaining.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, that's from your perspective. I'm yet trying to be a devotee, but thank you for this. And any other, okay, let us hear from others. I can share one. When I was given this service of toilet cleaning, when I was in my second year of engineering in the voice where there's, the flat where you stay. So they were showing and then I think, oh, I don't want to, and they gave me, oh, toilet cleaning. I was thinking, how will I do that? I never did that. So I was thinking, I got it. And I'm not able to do only. I kind of not doing sometimes, or I was not able to kind of. But then I really thought like that. Oh Lord, I'm doing it for your pleasure. No matter what way I feel disgusted about this thing, but let me do it for your pleasure, oh Lord. And because I've been asked by the devotees and for your pleasure, for the devotees' pleasure, let me do it. And I go and I clean the toilet. And I'll tell you, then I'll be very, gradually I could overcome that kind of difficulty. And then I was then I feel so satisfied after cleaning. And when we joined also ashram, then sometimes we had a big toilet bathroom, common toilet bathroom. So it would take almost sometimes 2 hours, 1.5 to 2 hours. And I'd do that. I'd keep some lecture hearing and I just clean the toilet and at the end you feel so satisfied, it's like liberated. And so yeah, so some kind of work may be difficult in Krishna consciousness, but because Guru and Krishna wants you to do, you do it. Then you become purified and you feel transcendental bliss. Any other? Anybody else would like to share?
Prabhu, Hare
Yes.
Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
When I feel like sometimes many people will be in trouble, that time when I explain about Krishna consciousness and they realize, that makes me very happy and blissful.
Okay, when some people are in trouble, you explain them about Krishna consciousness, then you feel happy.
No, that time I feel, yeah, it's satisfied that, okay, I'm able to.
When the people are in difficulty, you share Krishna consciousness, that time you feel happy.
Not happy. It's like, okay, it's
Satisfied. When you feel satisfied.
yeah.
So no, I am saying a different thing. I am saying something which is maybe difficult for us, like some work may be difficult for us.
Mhm.
But when we do it for the satisfaction of the Lord, then you feel satisfied. So yeah, for somebody preaching may be difficult. No?
Yeah,
Like
it is.
Krishna.
Yeah, that's what, even to make them understand what is Krishna consciousness itself is a tough job.
So sometimes preaching work may be a difficult thing. People are not ready. They are argumentative. They're challenging. Sometimes it is humiliating, like book distribution, preaching. But still, we do that difficult work, and then at the end you'll feel satisfied. Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Because sometimes people actually appreciate, even though they may be a little bit, in the beginning not so ready, but eventually they may end up at least taking a book, or they may become little favorable. They may appreciate. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. Good point. Yes, Praveen Prabhu.
And I don't have any.
Really, you don't have any point.
I don't have any specific experience with this.
You never got any work which was difficult for you, and you did it for the Lord, and you felt transcendental bliss, some satisfaction.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that too happened one time when I was at the Boston temple. At Janmashtami, I guess I was standing like for from noon until midnight. It's like my feet got swollen. It was so bad, like so much crowd is there managing them, service and everything. I think this is like 5 years back. But somehow I did it because it's Janmashtami, like that.
Correct.
But pain didn't sustain that long.
Pain did not sustain that long. Okay. And you felt satisfied or not?
Yeah, I felt satisfied that I did something.
Yeah, that's
my
true.
best.
Like Prabhupada came to West, it was a difficult thing or easy thing? It was so difficult, right? 2 heart attacks, so much of trouble. When he came to West also, whether to go left or right, he did not know. So much of trouble. But in spite of all that, Prabhupada did it. For whom? For the satisfaction of the Lord. And then he was so transcendental blissful, you can see. He's writing poems, chanting Hare Krishna. So this is how. So we should not be fearful of the difficulties when we are having our devotional duties. Difficulties will be there. But those difficulties will become the source of bliss. If you do that work for the pleasure of Krishna, for the satisfaction of the Lord. So we should not be fearful of the difficulty. We can expect there will be difficulty in any service. Which every service will have some difficulty. When you go for cooking also, cooking for the Lord, some difficulty will be there. You take the service of managing, some difficulty will be there. You take the service of preaching, some difficulty will be there. Sometimes more difficulty will be there. So you stay with devotees, in association of devotees, there will be some difficulty, some inconvenience. So there will be difficulty. But if you continue your devotional duties, then you can actually feel transcendental bliss like that. Okay. By such transcendental engagement, one achieves all transcendental. Anybody else wants to share? Okay, nobody else. Fine. By such transcendental engagement, Prashant, you want to share something?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I was thinking, but yeah, I couldn't find anything which was maybe like difficult. You've not done anything like, yeah, might be very small things. So I won't consider those as difficult But yeah,
Prabhuji is so much blissful that he's not considering only the difficulty. That is another platform, I think.
actually, I have not done. I'm not.
I'd see that how both of them would come from so long from New Hampshire every Sunday. I was amazed to see, my God, so far they are coming from. So I could see that they are not ordinary people. No, they are coming so long every Sunday for lecture. So those difficult, but they are not perceiving only difficulty. So that is their, I mean, that is their greatness, that they are not perceiving. But that there is some difficulty for sure. Coming every Sunday from so long, it's not easy. And hearing online classes also for so long, 2 hours, it's not easy. Even though the situation is not that, I mean, everything, you have to go to hospital or any time and all that, but still doing that is actually a great service to the Lord. So it is done for the pleasure of the Lord, for the satisfaction of the Lord. So that's how when you feel transcendently satisfied and happy.
Yeah, it's all in your perspective, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Nice. Nice. So this is how even the devotee even does not perceive difficulty. Actually, that's true. Eventually, because the devotee feels so much fulfilled, because of his service to the Lord, devotee does not feel also the difficulty. Neha Vikramanaሾsti Pratyavayo na vidyate Swarpamasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Read the translation.
In this endeavor, there is no loss of or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear.
Activity in Krishna consciousness or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectation of some gratification is the highest transcendental quality of work. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, nor can that small beginning be lost at any stage. Any work begun on the material plane has to be completed, otherwise the whole attempt becomes a failure. But any work begun in Krishna consciousness has a permanent effect, even though not finished. The performer of such work is therefore not at loss, even if his work is in Krishna consciousness is incomplete. 1% done in Krishna consciousness bears permanent results, so that the next beginning is from the point of 2%. Whereas in the material activity, without 100% success, there is no profit. Ajamila performed his duty in some percentage of Krishna consciousness, but the result he enjoyed at the end was 100% by the grace of the Lord. There is a nice verse in this connection, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.17. Taktva sadharmam charanambujam hare vajanna pakvotha patetyado tato yadi yatra kova bhadram abut amushyakim kovartha apto vajatam sadharmataha. Read the translation.
If someone gives up his occupational duties and works in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part? And what can one gain if one performs his material activities perfectly? Or as Christian says, what profit a man if he gain the whole world yet suffer the loss of his eternal soul?
If someone gives up his occupational duties and works in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on account of not completing work, there is no loss. But what can one gain if one performs material activities perfectly? He's done very nicely everything, but there's no devotional service done. So what is the use of it? That means even if sentimentally somebody gives up his duties and he begins Krishna consciousness, that is much, much greater. Even though he may stop or he may not able to complete. Because little bit also what has done devotional service, that is glorious. Even if sentimentally he has come also. Very glorious, very, very auspicious. But if somebody is very pakka in his duties, prescribed duties, but he is not Krishna conscious, he's not doing devotional service, then it's not of much use. So as the Christian says, what profit a man if he gain the whole world, yet suffer the loss of his eternal soul? So spiritual, so actually Krishna consciousness is very much, should be, one should be able to see it from the perspective of the soul's eternal happiness by going back home to God. From that perspective, if you see, then it makes sense. That is the highest perfection of the soul. Material activities and the results end with the body, but work in Krishna consciousness carries a person again to Krishna consciousness, even after the loss of the body. At least one is sure to have a chance in the next life of being born as a human being, again as human, again as human being, either in the family of a great cultured Brahmana or in a rich aristocratic family. That will give one further chance for elevation. That is a unique quality of work done in Krishna consciousness. So somebody performs a lot of devotional service, will take birth in a Vaishnava family. Like now, Prashant Prabhu and Mataji may have a child in some time, in some days maybe. So it is born in a Vaishnava family now. So that means this girl must have performed some devotional service. This child must have performed some devotional service. That's why he's getting the chance to take birth in a Vaishnava family, because both of them are chanting now. As soon as, the child will only get prasadam, not get any kind of thing which is not offered to Krishna. She will always get only prasad. So this is a rare fortune for any divinity, who only get to get prasadam. That's all. So that's the so that shows that this child must have performed some devotional service in previous life, like that. And there was no ordinary soul will get this kind of privilege like that. And if somebody takes birth in Acharya family, Goswamis, like Srila Prabhupada taking birth in, his pure devotee family, Gormonde, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur taking family in, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house, which is his Acharya. That means he has performed long devotional service, or they might be Nitya Siddha coming from a spiritual world, either of the two cases. And somebody must have performed good amount of devotional service, will take birth in a Vaishnava family. And somebody has performed a lot of devotional service, then they may take birth in a Acharya family. And somebody has done little devotional service, so he may go to the heavenly planet and enjoy there, and then come back to this, because he still had not given his material propensity to enjoy is not over. That's why he is being sent to heavenly planets. And then again he falls from there, and he may take birth in very aristocratic rich family, so that he doesn't have any struggle for existence, and he'll get chance to perform devotional service. But there is always a risk, if somebody does not complete devotional service, because next life, how one will use his free will, we never know. We never know. Sometimes some child is born in a good Vaishnava family also may not take up Krishna consciousness that seriously. So that risk is there. That's why Prabhupada always, urged everybody to complete his Krishna consciousness this life itself. Don't take risk. Prabhupada said this. Sometimes a rich man's son also may get deviated, he may get into some bad habits and all. So there's always chance of misusing free will. So better not to come back. Complete our devotional service, complete all our Krishna consciousness this life itself. Though if you don't complete, you still have no loss, because you have the chance to complete in next life. If you have done 67%, from 67% next life you have to start like that. So it is preserved. That's what he's saying. It's not lost. Little advancement in this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. And the most dangerous type of fear, Prabhupada says also, gliding into lower space of life. So you'll surely get the next birth as human, if you have performed even little devotional service. Like once Devarat Maharaj was saying, yesterday I saw so many animals were getting human form of life. And what? And then he said, so many people saw the books, touched the book, because at least they have done some devotional service by touching the book and seeing the book. They will not get animal spirit, they will get human form. And they have purchased the book. Some devotional service is being rendered. So very auspicious, when you do some book distribution, distribute holy name, chant the holy name. People when hear the holy name, at least once they have heard, so they will get the human form of life. They have taken prasadam once, they will get the human form of life. They have touched the book, they have taken the book in their hand, they have read it something, they purchased the book, they will get human form of life. Like that. व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिरेकः कुरुनन्दन बहुशाखा ह्यनन्ताश्च बुद्धयो व्यवसायिनाम्. Read the translation.
Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of Kurus, the intelligent of those who are irresolute is many branched.
Yeah, purport is very powerful. This is one of my favorite verse. Purport: a strong faith that by Krishna consciousness one will be achieved, elevated to the highest perfection of life is called Vyavasayatmika intelligence. The Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhurila states, Shraddha Shabde Vishwasakaye Suddrina Nishchaya Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Haya Faith means unflinching trust in something sublime. When one is engaged in the duties of Krishna consciousness, he need not act in relationship to the material world with obligations to family traditions, humanity, or nationality. Fruitive activities are the engagements of one's reaction from past good or bad deeds. When one is awake in Krishna consciousness, he need no longer endeavor for good results in his activities. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, all activities are on the absolute plane, for they are no longer subject to dualities like good and bad. That means if you perform Krishna conscious duties, no, when you're performing Krishna conscious activities, you just should not think about the result. There's no point of getting something out of it, because that engagement in Krishna consciousness itself is an absolute platform. It's the highest auspicious thing what you're doing. So you already get the result. As soon as you perform any devotional act, you are already getting the result of getting the supreme auspiciousness in your life. So, because it's not some kind of fruitive engagement, right? Where you have to get some result and then enjoy or suffer. No. So, when one is situated in Krishna consciousness, all activities are on the absolute plane, for they are no longer subject to dualities like good and bad. The highest perfection of Krishna consciousness is renunciation of the material conception of life. This state is automatically achieved by progressive Krishna consciousness. The resolute purpose of a person in Krishna consciousness is based on knowledge. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. A person in Krishna consciousness is the rare good soul who knows perfectly that Vasudeva or Krishna is the root of all manifested causes. As by watering the root of a tree, one automatically distributes water the leaves and branches. So by acting in Krishna consciousness, one can render the highest service to everyone, namely self, family, society, country, humanity, etc. If Krishna is satisfied by one's actions, then everyone will be satisfied. So Krishna Bhakti Kailas Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. If you can perform devotional service, you're doing the highest activity for everyone's benefit. It's like watering the root of the tree. So that's why somebody is sincerely chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. This is the best philanthropic work. When you're simply sitting in one corner and chanting Hare Krishna mantra, you're doing the highest welfare activity for entire universe actually. You may say, Prabhu, how it is? No, you are not distributing food, you're not distributing clothes. How can you say it's highest thing? No, it is, because by that you're satisfying the Supreme Lord. By that you are becoming Krishna conscious. One pure devotee can deliver one Brahmanda actually. Like Prabhupada, Prabhupada was chanting many rounds before he came to West. In Shantipur, he would go to the temple and the whole day would chant sometimes. Nobody knew. But you can see because of that similar Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur chanted 9 years, 192 rounds continuously. Can you imagine? He would eat just once in a day, water comes in his mouth once, that's all. So these things are not known to the people sometimes. So somebody left. Oh, okay. So these things are not known to the world sometimes, no? But actually, somebody is chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, somebody is performing devotional service. That actually makes one very Krishna conscious, and that actually satisfies the Lord. And that's how you can really do the highest service to everyone. That's what he's saying. So by acting in Krishna consciousness, one can render the highest service to everyone, namely self, family, society, country, humanity, etc. Like Prabhupada was the best. He did the best service to humanity. He did the best service to the country. Right? He did best service to his family also, because the family will be delivered from the cycle of birth and death, and best service to self. That's what Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur also said to Prabhupada, that you spread this mission of Lord Chaitanya, message of Lord Chaitanya all over the world. That will do good to you and to the whole world. Yeah. Service in Krishna consciousness is however best practice under the able guidance of a spiritual master, who is a bona fide representative of Krishna, who knows the nature of the student and who can guide him to act in Krishna consciousness. As such, to be well versed in Krishna consciousness, one has to act firmly and obey the representative of Krishna, and one should accept the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master as one's mission in life. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur instructs us in his famous prayers for the spiritual master as follows. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya prasadan nagati kutopi dhyayanstu vams tasya yasyastri sandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Can you read the translation?
By satisfaction of the spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes satisfied. And by not satisfying the spiritual master, there is no chance of being promoted to the plane of Krishna consciousness. I should therefore meditate and pray for his mercy 3 times a day and offer my respectful obediences unto him, my spiritual master.
The whole process, however, depends on perfect knowledge of the soul beyond the conception of the body. Not theoretically, but practically. When there is no longer a chance for some gratification manifested in fruitive activity, one is not firmly fixed in mind, is diverted by various types of fruitive acts. So, yeah, you're saying something?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. So I think I will pause here. I think we did little less today because we started late. So I request all of you to join in time so that we can start in time. Today also we started a little late. So in the beginning only one person was there, and gradually all joined. But I request all of you to join in time so that we have full 2 hours. So we don't want to extend unnecessarily. Whatever time we said, if we put it that much, then devotees feel satisfied also. So fine. So let us pause here. Anybody has any one reflection? One reflection you can just share, and your experience and reflection quickly. One, like cut like this in 2-3 minutes.
Prabhuji, my reflection is that one should be performing their duties regardless of and dedicating them to Lord. That is one quick reflection that's coming in on my mind.
Even though it may be difficult, no? Sometimes.
Yes, even if it might be difficult.
Yeah. And how was the overall experience of reading today? Was that very fast, slow, or it was okay? It's good.
Yeah, Prabhuji, yeah, it was fine, Prabhuji. Like, I don't have my laptop today with me, so it was on my phone. We don't have like notebook, but yes, it was good. I'll watch the recording again.
Both of you heard, huh?
Yes, Prabhuji, both of us. Like Ravneet, kind of, but yeah, it was the phone was with me. Mostly, I'm in the same room.
Okay, but you are not admitted, huh?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can talk about it later.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just asking. No, in the hospital now, huh?
Ji.
Okay, fine. Yes, Virat Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I really appreciated like the repetition of the core topics that we've been reading and discussing for a few years, and then now today, like I really understood how much Lord Krishna emphasized on the soul, how many verses he spoke about the soul to Krishna and emphasized on the difference between the soul and the material body. And I really liked the way Krishna was, I can say, like trying to encourage Arjuna to see the right path, to think beyond his family members, to really focus on his duty based on his identity, not as the family members, but to look beyond that. And I like just seeing the bigger picture, and I just like the repetition. Like if we can hear it once, but then to really embed it within us and to really apply it into our consciousness and daily lives. This like repetition is so important.
Thank you. And your overall experience was how it was overall experience?
Yeah, it was good, Prabhuji.
You were able to be attentive all throughout?
Yeah, I tried to. Like I came from work, so I left. I finished. I came back like almost exactly 5:30. So it was just a little bit tricky to go from work straight to a 2 hour class, but I tried my best.
Nice. Good. Yes, Praveen Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. So one point, major point is working for the satisfaction of the Lord. So even there, if we if our work is not perfect in the satisfaction of the Lord, even if it is partially perfect, still it is a very decent progress. On the other hand, if we do our approach duties very perfectly, but not knowing that it is satisfying the Lord or not, then there is not much use.
Correct. Yes. Good point. And how is your overall experience? You could be attentive all throughout?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, sometimes deviated a little, but
You're taking notes also?
no, Prabhu, I was just listening.
Okay. But you are going through the text when I'm showing the screen.
Yeah, I'm going through the text.
Okay. In mobile or laptop?
In laptop.
Okay, good. You're sitting at one place and doing it, no?
Yes, Prabhu. I was sitting at one place.
Okay. No multitasking.
No.
Good. Very nice. Yes, and Aarti Mataji and Monica Mataji, you want to share something?
The point I like today most is see, we work on instead of working for eternal relationship with Krishna, we work on temporary relationship like our family, friends. We mostly we dwell upon all this material relationship more. And another thing is how like even though material success, what is the point we get material success if we don't connect with Krishna through Krishna consciousness?
Very good point. And how was the overall experience? You are able to be attentive all throughout?
Yes, Prabhu. If I like, usually I do some like cooking, and that time it gets difficult to capture all the points. But if I sit and listen, it is good.
So you are doing cooking also today, or you are just listening?
Yeah, cooking also I did.
Okay, no problem. At least you are listening. That's nice. Okay. Yes, Monica Mataji, you want to share something? Hare Krishna. You want to share something? Hare Krishna. I think she's not there. Correct, no?